State ends up winning 31-17 as a 13-point underdog. This was a complete shock. Now, getting into Florida State, the one thing for Alabama, even in the Saban era, Alabama has always had trouble containing mobile quarterbacks, and Thomas Castellanos absolutely gave them fits. When you look at what he was able to do rushing, he did have 16 carries in this game for 78 yards and a touchdown, and he was super efficient in the passing game as well, 9 for 14 with 152 yards. He absolutely gave them fits, and I'm going to have my hand up. If you look back, I have a video saying, what is Thomas Castellanos doing, calling out Alabama, saying he doesn't think that they could cover him without Saban. Saban isn't there anymore. And again, he called this shot, and he was 100% right. Florida State was pretty much in full control this whole entire game. Towards the end, it did get a little close, but from start to finish, Florida State really put it on Alabama. And they looked like a team that was just a lot more hungrier than Alabama. And we also look at them on the defensive side of the ball as well. They were getting to Ty Simpson at an insane clip. We talked about 1 for 10 Ty Simpson incompletions against QB pressures. So Ty Simpson, again, didn't look the best as well. He ends up throwing 43 times, 23 for 43, 254 yards, 2 touchdowns. Jeremy Bernard had a phenomenal game. Jeremy Bernard was a player that I did like. 8 receptions for 146 yards. He was eating out there. Ryan Williams was pretty much contained. He was injured towards the end of the game as well. 5 receptions for 30 yards. But Jeremy Bernard might be eating because, again, the coverage is on Ryan Williams. Like I said, Florida State looked absolutely phenomenal on both sides of the ball. But, again, I'm going to temper my expectations. Do I think Florida State could be a winning team in college football? Yeah, 100%. I like Mike Norvell. I thought he had one of the most impressive seasons ever with that Jordan Travis team. And, again, last year was a disappointment. Obviously, a 2-win team that I thought had talent. Again, you could debate that with DJU, whatever you're on that side of that quarterback. But, again, you're looking at a team with a ton of overhaul. And that's why I was on Alabama in this game, because I like cohesive teams. And this team, I mean, they had to make a lot of changes, obviously, as a 2-win team. But they did get talent. I mean, we saw Thomas Castellanos last year. He is a talented quarterback. And, again, a dual-threat quarterback in college football could give any defense problems. And we saw Alabama had absolutely no answers for this offense. Now, what I do have to say about Alabama, I am clicking the panic button on Alabama. I thought Alabama was going to be a lot better this year. I thought they were going to be the most hungriest team in college football just because, all the talk around KALEN DeBoer. And Alabama obviously not making a 12-team playoff last year when they were a shoo-in for a 14 playoff. But things are a lot different now for Alabama. Does it have to do with Saban leaving? Yeah, 100%. I think it definitely is more towards the NIL transfer portal, the more even playing field in college football. I don't agree with the people saying that this Alabama team doesn't have Alabama-type players. I 100% think they do. I think they have super talented players on this team. When you look at Ryan Williams, Jeremy Bernard, Justin Jefferson, Deontay Lawson, LT Overton, those are Alabama players. Those are Alabama starters in any Alabama year pretty much. I think the difference is now with the transfer portal and NIL, they don't have that clear advantage in matchups. Yeah, they have Alabama-type players, like we mentioned, but they don't have the depth that they used to have. They don't have wide receivers that are 6 NFL wide receivers deep on a roster. They don't have a running back room that are 3 NFL running backs deep on a roster. Secondary, where you have 9 players that are NFL players, NFL featured players. That is not the case anymore. Yeah, they have some NFL players on this team, but they don't have the depth like they used to do. They don't have a wide receiver core that's like Jerry Jeudy, Henry Ruggs, Jalen Waddle, Devontae Smith. They do not have that anymore. And again, is Ty Simpson an Alabama quarterback? I mean, we've seen players in the Nick Saban era like an A.J. McCarron and others that aren't necessarily huge NFL guys. But this Alabama team does not have the depth to scare you anymore. And obviously, teams aren't as scared anymore either without Nick Saban. Again, do I think if Nick Saban was coaching his team that this stuff would have happened? I still do not think so. And I think KALEN DeBoer is 100% on the hot seat. And I said it coming into this year, even though I was high on Alabama, I think if they don't make the college football playoffs, KALEN DeBoer is going to be on a tremendous hot seat and can be fired. And now that's what everybody's talking about now, which I think should be a topic of conversation. Now, the thing I did want to discuss that I don't know if I discussed this season, NIL is basically making it impossible, nearly impossible, to fire coaches with these big contracts. And Kalen DeBoer has a bigger buyout than anybody in the country when you look at a $70 million buyout. So it is going to be a difficult season for Alabama. But if this Alabama team doesn't meet expectations, if they are in a top 15 team in the country, if they don't make a 12-team college football playoffs, they are going to have to do something. They're going to have to do something. Again, it makes it very tough, an NIL transfer portal error now, to buy out a $70 million coach because you want to use all your money on players. I mean, we've seen it. We're going to get into the Bill Belichick game. We've seen it with a ton of coaches. No matter what coach you have, players make plays, especially in college football, and you want to use the money on the players now that that's a reality. So it's going to be very interesting to see what they do with Kalen DeBoer. But Alabama, in my opinion, we have to hit the panic button on them because this was a game as a 13-point favorite that we expected them to ease through. They didn't. They have a tough SEC schedule, and they can only afford like another loss or two in their tough schedule after losing to what was supposed to be a very easy matchup for them. A loss you can't afford in the SEC as a 13-point favorite. And now this is 4 times in the Kalen DeBoer era where Alabama lost to an unranked team. I don't think Nick Saban lost 4 times to an unranked team in his entire college football coaching career. So, again, Kalen DeBoer is 100% on the hot seat. Alabama made a complete turn in this new era to a team that nobody comes in and fears anymore. And again, does it have a lot of things going into it? Yes, like I said, they aren't able to have the depth of talent they had. They were competing with 1 or 2 other teams for recruits back in the day. Now they're with NIL, transfer portal, and everything. They're competing with almost every team in the country. And again, having Kalen DeBoer as a coach, having Nick Saban as a coach, big difference. I'm very surprised how bad things have been for Kalen DeBoer again. I had high hopes for him getting that job, but wow, Alabama's on a true hot seat. And if they don't figure things out fast, I still think Kalen DeBoer could be gone. Even with a $70 million buyout, again, will they lean to maybe one more season of Kalen DeBoer just because that buyout's so strong? Maybe, but again, 2 times not making a 12-team college football playoff with how disappointing Alabama's been. There are questions in Tuscaloosa.